When we're trying to get users to use our application, one of the challenges these days, one of the mistakes we make is we focus too much on content and not enough on context. There's too much content available these days. I mean, that's definitely not the problem. There's videos and tip sheets, and there's classes on all different things that we can have our users go to attend and learn about different things. But the problem is not the content or the availability of the content, is the actual context. Context is definitely king. Getting users the help they need, where they need it, when they need it, so they can use the applications, use the information that we want them to use. There's information obviously out there on YouTube, on SlideShare, blogs, all over the place on the internet. That's not a problem. And as I mentioned before, users can go easily to a class or attend online classes, attend webinars. The problem is they're going to find good practices as well as bad practices when they're doing search on their own. So information is everywhere. It's fragmented. And you definitely don't want them to be using the bad practices in your environment as they're using the application. So question becomes, how do you really get the right information in their head? Here's a proposed solution. If you're able to do this, wonderful. Just open up their head, get the information directly in there. Unfortunately, that's not truly possible scientifically yet. So until this does become possible, we have to look at different ways of getting the information we need to get into their heads so they can make the right decisions at the right time. There's a concept of performance support, which talks about delivering just-in-time learning to users. And that says you're not really training your users, you're helping and supporting your users when they need it, where they need it, in their environment. So they don't have to go outside somewhere to get the help they need or the training they need. They get the help within their work environment, within their workplace, basically, where they're doing their work. And here's an example of what it looks like. This example comes actually from one of my friends, Susan Hanley, who is a user adoption expert in this field. So imagine this, you are at a library of documents in this case, and you get the recommendation right there to how to name your files, for example. So you don't end up naming it version 1, version 2, etc., which is a waste of time, and it's going to be very difficult for people to understand exactly what that is. And also best practices for assigning metadata, so things like this. Your title and summary and name and other information like that, they would know exactly what to do because that is their governance information that's being exposed to them within their environment where they need it, in this case the library, right? So governance and best practices delivered to them just in time. That's the in-context delivery method. Here's another example. This is the Visual SP help system. In this case, they're getting a user interactive guide that comes up and gives them a tour of their environment and also gives them opportunities to click around within the environment and showing them exactly how certain things work. So that's another way of helping them directly in context. Now, just to recap over here, just in time and just enough help means that you don't want users to go out looking for information blindly and finding whatever they find on Google, on Bing. You want them to be using best practices, obviously, right? Another thing to remember is that users are going to want to use the least amount of clicks possible to get the information they need. So you don't want to put your information, your videos, or your any kind of help or training content somewhere out there. It's got to be within the environment, available to them as a layer on top of their existing environment so they can get the help right there. And last but not least, don't overwhelm them with too much information. That is a mistake that I've made also before. You want to get them just enough information, not too much. Sometimes, actually many times, too much information is too difficult to parse through for users. So for end users, the best thing to do is just get them the exact information they need, where they need it, and they'll be successful doing their job. Hope this helps.